So this is definitely his glory. This is the genius of God. Grace is God being able to, being free. Grace is what God is free to give us on the basis of the cross, without him compromising his essence. Again, grace is what God is free to give us without him compromising his essence. And he was able to give us this wonderful salvation without him compromising his infinite, perfect righteousness. And he did that through Christ. So this is saving grace right here. Saving grace. We must divide grace into different categories because grace is huge. It's glorious, as we just saw. So that's phase 1. Immediately after salvation, 1 nanosecond after that, you step into phase 2. And this is your post-salvation spiritual life. Whether you're executed or not, you are in phase 2 as a believer. Nothing can take away your salvation. Nothing can take away that imputed righteousness of God, because he already bought it for you. He already took all those sins. Now in phase 2, you still continue having that perfect righteousness. Let's put it down here. Perfect righteousness, even if you're the most terrible, evil believer in the world, even if you're self-righteous, which intrudes upon the privacies of others. You continue to have the righteousness, you're going to have it forever. Phase 3, resurrection body, you're going to continue having that. Not because of anything that you've but because of everything that he did. This is grace all the way. Now in phase 2, how is God free to bless you as a believer every day? I'm not talking about those escrow blessings that you receive as spiritual maturity. I'm talking about those everyday blessings of you being safe, you not being removed by Satan and the demon voice from this world, you having food, shelter, clothing, everything necessary to remain alive in the devil's world, you having every opportunity to advance in the plan of God, such as a Bible, a right pastor, a right church. If I'm your right pastor, then I'm your right pastor, and this is your right church. Yes. How is God able to bless the believer every day and still remain righteous? How is he able to bless you with logistical grace without him compromising his perfect character, his righteousness? Well, because of that very righteousness that you receive at the moment of salvation, you keep having it. And therefore, this forms a pipeline. Let's put justice down here. This forms a pipeline. Justice up here, righteousness down here. Righteousness is the principle, justice is the function. One half of divine holiness, the other half of divine holiness. So the justice of God looks at that perfect righteousness imputed inside of you and says, ooh la la, boom, bless it, bless it, bless it. And so it gives you sustenance, food, shelter, clothing, protection, keeps you alive in the devil's world. That wall of fire protects you. You're not going to die until God says. He gives you every opportunity to advance in the plan of God. And he also gives you motivational blessing. This is why many wicked believers prosper, because of logistical grace. And so this pipeline is formed. And this is grace. We call this logistical grace. My pastor does. If you prefer calling it living grace, go ahead. But this is logistical grace that provides for you the logistics of your everyday life in phase 2. This is logistical grace. Now, for those who are obedient and they keep on using that daily logistical provision and they exploit it and they increase it, you are mandated to increase grace. James chapter 4, verse 6. You increase it, and you arrive at super grace. Let's look at this divine power here right here. This is the Lord's, obviously. But you continue advancing just like him. 2, 3, 4, you arrive having doctrinal momentum, and then you finally reach the point where you are considered a spiritual adult, and this is the point where grace must be increased. You need it to continue advancing. The pressure is much greater. Also, the blessing is much greater. This is the first point of super grace, gate 5. My pastor used to call this super grace A. Gate 6 used to call this super grace B. So this is the increase of grace, super grace. And so you arrive at the stage of more grace, super grace, and you finally continue going all the way to gate 8 of the divine power sphere, which is spiritual maturity. How is the justice of God able to give you those wonderful escrow blessings and not compromise his perfect character? Because those blessings are staggering to the mind. They are great. They are beyond your imagination. And how is infinite God able to give you these wonderful things without compromising his perfect character? Well, because of that perfect righteousness inside of you, that Bible doctrine, boom, that you have inside of your soul, which qualifies you to meet the condition for the release of those escrow blessings. And now, boom, another category, super grace. So this is the glory of grace as the policy of God. It is the policy of God. And there's no other way. God has to do all the work. And why is that? I just showed you. You started off as minus righteousness. There's nothing you can do. He is perfect righteousness. Therefore, the fact that he's infinite perfect righteousness demands for him to do all the work. If you add anything to it, you're imperfect. You're going to make the planet imperfect. That is not grace anymore. But he is perfect righteousness. Therefore, grace has to be the policy. He has to do all the work. And he did. This is his genius. He found a way to bless you. Not just to give you the whole salvation package, but provide everything necessary for the phase 2 life. And thereafter, resurrection body, we're going to live for him forever. It's grace all the way. So yes, surpassing grace. First, there's dying grace. When you die, you have a marvelous death. And you make your way to phase 3. There's surpassing grace, where you have those super grace blessings, those escrow blessings, and phase 3 that you receive at the judgment seat of Christ. All this is grace. Different categories of grace. Saving grace. Logistical grace in phase 2. Super grace in phase 2. That's the increase of grace. Dying grace, surpassing grace in phase 3. Don't let this intimidate you. These different categories, you must understand them in order to see the glory of his grace. And that's the reason why we have here this objective genitive of glory and the descriptive genitive of charis, of grace. So at the moment that you arrive at spiritual maturity, you reach the point of praise. This is this laudatory commendation, the extreme admiration of the glory that belongs to the grace, his grace. Now, this is where I made myself, mix myself and bollocks everything up. This also, the moment that you arrive at the point of praise of praising the glory of his grace, this is where you become a praise of glory. So, now let's begin once again. Ace plus the accusative of epainos, resulting in the praise. And this doxes here, now we're going to go with the second interpretation. Doxes goes with this. It becomes an attributive genitive, attributing the type of praise that this is. It is a praise of glory. It's a glorious praise. In other words, you reach the point of glorifying God. The glory of God here is his greatness, his magnificence. And when you reach the point of understanding this, understanding enough of that, to the point of pleasing him, reaching the point of fulfilling the directive will of God to the point that you please him on this earth, that's the point of glorifying him. And so that results in you being the praise of glory. So you are a walking praise of glory. The construction of this, of epaino, is anarthros. So it emphasizes the high quality of praise. This is no ordinary praise. This is not lip service. This is you recognizing his greatness and admiring it entirely. That's when your praise becomes glorious. This glorious praise is based on your thinking, the thinking inside of you from Bible doctrine inside of your soul. To the extent that you have Bible doctrine, you get closer to producing this praise of glory in your thinking. If you still have too much cosmic thinking, too much human viewpoint, you're not going to come close to this. Okay. Resulting in the praise of glory. Now, doxe, again, attributive genitive. Has no article, emphasizing the quality, and therefore this attributes to epainos it ascribes to it the attribute of the type of praise. Praise of glory. The moment that you understand the glory of His grace, your praise becomes glorious as well. So it goes together. Now, if this is an attributed genitive, what type of genitive would charis become? The praise of His glory, and this becomes a source, an ablatable genitive of source. This is from the source of His grace. The fact that you reach the point of becoming praise of glory is only and only a product of His grace, not a product of yourself. The fact that you used all that God has designed for you as far as grace provision is concerned makes you a complete product of grace, and you reach the point of becoming the praise of glory. It has to be grace all the way. The moment that you add something from your part, from your human body, from your talent, from your beauty, from your IQ, it is not grace anymore. It has to be God's grace all the way. And so, here you are. First, you were saved. Saving grace. Good. That's where you received your portfolio of invisible assets, including this, righteousness. Yes? But you continue, so now you're in phase 2. And you start learning some Bible doctrine. So here it is, logistical grace. Logistical grace provides everything for you to remain alive and to advance in the plan of God. You exploit that. How do you exploit that? By being filled with the Holy Spirit, gate 1 of the divine powers here, and learning Bible doctrine, gate 4. And that's the way you exploit your assets. That's the way you increase that grace that is given through logistical grace. And you increase it, all the way to super grace. You're in gate 5, but it doesn't stop there. There's a last phase of super grace that's called gate 8, and that's when those escrow blessings are released onto you. And by this time, your soul is so saturated with Bible doctrine that you emanate, that you throw out that praise of glory. Everything in your life, all your thinking and all your function inside the divine power sphere is epainos, doxes, praise of glory. You become a walking praise of glory, and God has no qualms about using you as a means of glorification. I just showed you right now, verse 5, how He predestinated for you this, which results in the praise of glory. How is this brought about? Grace all the way. And if you use grace, you're a complete product, a total product of His grace. And that's the reason why I translated charis, or I interpreted that genitive of charis as a source, a genitive of source. This comes from the source of grace. The reason why you are now an epainos doxe, a praise of glory. Because of all the grace that you utilized, you exploited it to the maximum as far as what God has designed for you in the phase 2 life. You used saving grace, everything that He gave you. You exploited that logistical grace, you increased it to the point of super grace, and you did not stop there. You arrived at gate 8, where you became epainos doxe. So that's the reason why I translate that genitive of charis into a source, ablatable genitive of source. Okay? I did not get all mixed up this time. The first interpretation was for the purpose of praise of the glory of His grace. The grace of God does have glory. I just explained to you His genius. But once you come to the point of understanding and expression and reaching the point of expressing extreme admiration for that glory, you become a praise of glory, a high quality praise of glory. This is not just any regular praise. Okay? So again, you are the source. You are the product of grace. It's grace all the way. And the next thing we're going to see is grace working in your life